Alright, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to try and not make it too long, but this is a topic that I take very seriously, and that's mental health. All I know is that this video is just going to be uncut. It's just going to be me talking to the camera. I don't have anything written down. I'm just going to go with whatever comes into my mind. It was it I really started to feel depression around the start of my freshman year of high school. Let's go back in time to the fall of 2020. For the most part, everything was still shut down. I remember at my school in particular, we had half the people were in school for a day, the other half were online for a day, and then we would flip flop. That's how it worked my freshman year, anyways. And in all honesty, I think everything just kind of hit me at once. Loneliness, the bullying. I've always been bullied my entire life. And feeling like I was never enough. Like I was never good enough. I think all three of those things kind of caved in on me all at once, along with a few things later on, but I'll get to that. I wasn't just feeling lonely because of, COVID and whatnot. I wasn't feeling lonely because of that. I'm an introvert, right? I'm a big time introvert. It was more so feeling lonely because I didn't have any true friends at that time. So I didn't have anyone to truly fall back on, if that makes sense. Now, in all fairness, I've always been the kind of person to stick to myself. I would never tell anyone what was bothering me. So if someone asked, if someone ever asked if I was okay, I would always just say, "Yep, I'm fine, doing great." And that was my first mistake, and admittedly my biggest one. Because I was always afraid that people would worry about me. I don't like having people worry about me. I have always been very selfless in the fact that if someone ever needs anything, I'm always like, "Yep, I'm right here for you. I got your back." And as a result, I never wanted people to worry about me. So, because I've always been help, help, help. And as a result, I never took care of myself. And I think that's where a lot of my issues came from, I think. I never told my parents, brother, sister. I never told anyone. Not really anyways, not anyone that I could super trust. And that's my first mistake. And as I said, my biggest mistake. Now, I said that, that was one thing. I always felt alone. And part of that, yes, it's my fault. The second thing I said was I've always been bullied. I've always been bullied. I've been to multiple schools. Grew up with people around me that haven't been the kindest. Some things I won't uh, say on here again, but you can imagine some of the things I've been told in my life. I've also always been very skinny. I am very underweight. And so I've always been bullied for that. I've always been called a twig. Uh, I would just blow away in the wind. And my clothes even fit on me. How do they not slide right off, you know? And that doesn't sound that bad, but when you hear it day after day after day after day after day, and believe me, there were a lot worse things said than that. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Things I won't say on here. That was another thing. And I always said that, and I always told myself that I'm not good enough. A large reason for that is, you know, as I said, I never really had true friends. Nowadays, I have a great group of friends, and I love them to death. Back then, I really didn't. And that on top of my parents have always been very grade heavy. And I would get grounded if I failed to get straight A's. And don't get me wrong, I love my parents. I love my parents. I want to make that clear. I absolutely adore my parents. But I always did feel like they were putting too much pressure on me. And I don't know why, but that made me feel like they didn't respect me. Like I know nowadays that they only did all that because they wanted me to be the best that I could. But that really did severely affect my mental health. It really did. Because I always thought, I'm not good enough. I will never be good enough. And as a result, for years, I always tried to, please other people. And going back to me being, rather selfless at times, I would do things for other people. I wouldn't do them for myself. And I think that's where most of my problems came in. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is, first off, you're not alone. You are not alone in anything. There are people that can help you. And I didn't realize this until my sophomore year of high school, where I met some really good teachers, really nice teachers. Still talk to a few of them to this day. One of them in particular really helped me. Two of them, actually. Yeah, two of them. One I still talk to, one I don't. Both of them really helped me out a lot. They would always offer support, um, comfort food whenever I may have needed it, or whatever. They've always been really helpful. And I'm very, very grateful for that reason. There are always people. Maybe the people you don't expect. And it's not like I didn't try to, tell teachers or, I always said, hey, I'm being bullied. Can you do something about it? These teachers did. When I went to go talk to, say, the principal or something, never did anything. Or the counselor never did anything. And so I just want to shout out to the good teachers out there in the world. Because again, there are people out there that will help you. You just gotta find the right ones. Whether it's your parents, teachers, anyone. Ask anyone, even a random stranger. There is someone out there who will help you if you're going through a hard time or anything. I just don't want you to make the same mistakes I made. My depression started to get really bad around January of junior year. That's when it started to get really bad. That's when I had a lot of not so fun thoughts. Not so fun thoughts. I started to contemplate the possibility of just ending it all. Because as I said earlier, I was still going through the bullying and the constant thoughts of me not being good enough. Me still not telling people how I'm really feeling. That's when I really started to contemplate an alternative. An alternative that I am not proud of. And obviously, as you can see, I thankfully did not commit to that. And that is because I met some really, really great people, some really great friends that I'm still friends with to this day. And I just told them everything. I told them everything I was going through, and they were very, very supportive. And I am forever grateful. I am forever grateful. All I'm trying to say is if you are struggling, tell anyone. What were some of the things that helped me get through the hard times I was going through? As I said, I was contemplating an alternative for a good 4 or 5 months. A good 4 or 5 months I was considering an alternative that I'm not proud of. And I'm very happy I didn't commit. What helped me get out of that state? Well, for me personally, this may not work for everyone because it's really hard to describe depression to someone who hasn't been through it because it's different for everyone. But some of the things that helped me, watching sports, it was a really great escape for me. Another thing, I enjoy writing. I enjoy just writing about anything that I can think of, writing my thoughts, just writing in general. Doing puzzles. Doing puzzles is another thing that really helped me a lot. Particularly jigsaw puzzles. They're very accessible, whether through the internet or just at a random bookstore or whatever. Very accessible. Those were a few of the things that helped me. But I think, in all honesty, the things that helped the most, for me personally, again, it's different for everyone, it was some of the smaller acts. Just saying good morning, acknowledging that I existed, acknowledging that I even woke up in the mornings. I even got out of bed, got dressed. It was a lot of that really helped. Sorry. It was a lot of that really helped. And I'm just very grateful. Now, as I said, I am very thankful for everyone and everything. I'm very thankful. And I just want even one person to see this and know that they're not alone. I don't want anyone to think that they have to go through something like this alone. Therapy. I would highly recommend therapy. I didn't get therapy because, as I said, I never really told anyone how I was feeling. So as a result, I never got therapy. But I would highly, 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 highly recommend therapy. Therapy is great, and there's a reason we have it as a society. Let's fast forward a bit. August 24th, 2024. I had a really bad day that day. And I remember I just kind of went to sleep that night crying. But then all of a sudden, I woke up on the morning of August 25th, 2024. I had a meeting with myself, an intervention, if you will, and I decided that things were going to be different. How so? Well, there's something I haven't mentioned yet. I had been cutting myself for about 3 years on and off at that point. I'd been cutting myself on and off for 3 years at that point. I typically would do it up here on my shoulder, just because I didn't want anyone to see and be concerned. Because as I said, I never really wanted to have people worry about me. So I oftentimes would do it up here on my shoulder, where no one could see it. And I just decided on that day, on August 25th, 2024, no more. I would no longer cut myself. I would put the knife down. And to this day, a year and a half later, when I'm recording this, a year and a half later, that is still the best decision I have made in my entire life. I am currently recording this on April 30th. It has been over a year and a half. Or sorry, I don't know why I said 2023, 2024. 2024, or 2023. 2023 is when I stopped cutting myself. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, August 25th, 2023. Sorry about that. But yes, I have been self-harm free for over a year and a half now. And as I said, it's the single best decision I've made in my entire life. And I'm very thankful to all the people I've had in my life to make that possible. As I said, I don't know. I don't care how many people see this. I want as many people to see it as obvious, as of course. But I just hope that this makes a difference in even one person's life. If that is a thing, I have done something right. Anyways, I guess that's it. I don't I can't think of anything else to say. And I'm sorry. I know this is a very sensitive topic for a lot of people, myself included. But sometimes things like this are necessary. And as I said, this is a topic I feel very strongly about. If you've managed to somehow watch to the end, thank you. I hope that you can make a difference in someone's life in a positive way, whether you know someone going through something similar or whether you've been through it yourself. you're not alone. You know, you're not alone. I've seen, I've been, I've been at the top of the roller coaster. I've been at the bottom. It sucks. It really sucks, and there's no other way to put it. But as I said, I am doing great now. I haven't cut myself in over a year and a half. I feel great. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you've managed to watch this entire thing, I just hope I can make a difference in someone's life.